Hey everybody, it's Martha here from the yoga studio at Northside. Thank you so much for joining me today for another short video. Today's video is slightly different. I thought I would do something that's a bit more workshop-y. I'm going to be breaking down the Sun Salutations A and B for you today. So our Surya Namaskar A and B. So for those of you that have been to my class before here, you'll recognise that I include the Sun Salutations in pretty much 90-95% of my classes. There's lots of different reasons for that, and I'm going to go through this with you in a bit more detail now. So the main reasons why I love to include the Surya Namaskar is because, first of all, they're accessible for everybody. So right from the person that's never done yoga before to people that are very advanced in yoga, the Sun Salutations can be modified in ways which are accessible for everybody. Because of that, they're really great to use at the start of practice. They're almost like a foundation for our class because they help to physically open up the body, they open up the chest, the shoulders, lengthen the spine, open up the hamstrings, and strengthen the shoulders as well. So, and they also massage the abdominal organs too. So they physically warm us up for the rest of the class. Usually they're done in a one breath movement, which means that they can offer almost like a mindful meditation. When you get used to them and you become very familiar with them, you don't think about what you're doing next, it becomes very natural. And because of this, that meditative state happens a bit more freely and easily for you when you're used to the movements. And that can be a really great check-in point for you at the start of class to check in with yourself. So it's like when you close down your eyes and you know you're going to start doing the Sun Salutations, you can start to really tune into the body. How am I feeling today? How is my body? How is my breath? And that's a really grounding point, a really great grounding point for the rest of your class as well. So another reason is that it does encourage students to practice at home as well. I thought the reason for doing this video is that it's a great foundation practice to start with, starting with Sun Salutations and just making sure that you're practicing this with correct alignment. And I'm going to be offering you a few alternatives today as well, so different ways you can modify according to what you want from the Sun Salutations. And lastly, from a philosophical point of view, in yoga we have yamas and niyamas, which are guidelines to live our lives by. Niyamas relate more towards ourselves. There's one particular niyama, Ishvara Pranatihara, which means devotion or surrender. And just from that philosophical point of view, when we salute the sun, as a yogi, we're giving our breath, we're using it like a prayer in that sequence to offer our energy back to the sun. So there's a bit of a different twist on why they're useful as well, but just I thought I'd add that in there because that will be more relevant for some people. So those are some reasons why we practice Sun Salutations. I love them, I hope you love them, and I'll show you a few ways of getting straight into it according to your level. So let's get going. It's also worth mentioning at this point as well that there are different types of Sun Salutations depending on the type of yoga you're practicing. The ones I'll be doing today are based more on Ashtanga yoga. So there may be some differences depending on the style of yoga that you're used to, but just to bear that in mind. Okay, so we'll get going. So the type I'll be doing first is a Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar A, and I'll be teaching it as if I were teaching a beginner who's never done yoga before. So you start at the top of the mat. You can place your feet apart if it's more comfortable for you. So the first position that we have here is Tadasana, our mountain pose. So I'll face the camera so it's a bit easier for you to see. So you can start with the feet apart or together. So we're really grounding through the feet here. I like to lift my toes up, placing the toes down one by one, last toe being the big toe. And that really helps to ground in the feet towards the earth, making sure that the weight is distributed evenly between all four corners of the feet. So our Tadasana, our mountain pose, is, like I said, the foundation of our standing postures. Feel free at any time in the class, if you feel that you would like to come back to this position, to take a few moments just to connect back to the breath, then please feel free to do so. So we stand tall, we lift the kneecaps up to engage the quadriceps, taking the shoulders down away from the ears, the arms away from the body with the palms facing forwards and engaging the fingertips. So I like to say it's like ta-da, Tadasana, So we're really keeping the arms engaged, so rather than just standing slumped, this is an engaging posture. We're using our muscles to stand upright. Lifting the chin slightly, giving length to the neck. And imagine someone's holding their hand just a few centimeters above your head, and you're trying to really lift into that hand. So we're really giving length to the spine here. So that's our first position. So we stand here, take an inhale, lift the arms up, keeping the shoulders down, either staring straight ahead or looking up towards the ceiling if the neck allows. Exhale, folding forwards, hinging at the hips and bending the knees if the hamstrings are tight. Coming into our Uttasana, our forward fold. Then straightening the legs, placing the hands onto the upper legs, the lower legs or the floor, just depending on where your body is. So making sure the back is flat and making sure also to avoid the knee area. Gazing straight ahead of you, the back is long. Then exhale, taking the hands down towards the mat. The feet step back, we come into a high plank position. Making sure the shoulders are above the wrists, keeping the hips in line with the body. Then dropping the knees down, making sure the chest is open, the spine is long, gazing straight ahead. Tuck the elbows in towards the chest, taking the body down towards the mat. Making sure the hands are by the shoulders, keeping the heels together. We'll inhale, lifting up, coming into our Cobra, our Bhujangasana, gazing towards the mat to give length to the back of the neck, using the strength of our back to lift and open the chest, squeezing the elbows in towards each other. And seeing here whether you're able to float the hands. Then exhale, come through tabletop position, tuck the toes. We come into Ardha Mukha Svanasana, or downward facing dog. In this position, checking your foundations. The feet should be hip distance, the hands should be shoulder distance. Feel free to keep a bend in the knees here. Giving length to the spine, releasing tension from the neck. Grounding through the fingertips. We stay here for 3 to 5 breaths. Sending the hips high towards the sky. And then on the next exhale, the right foot steps in between the palms. It might take a few steps to get there. If you need to walk your feet up, that's absolutely perfect. So when you reach the top of the mat, the left foot follows. We come back to a halfway lift. The spine is long. And then exhale to fold forwards. Option of bending the knees. Grounding through the feet. Lift the arms up. Stand tall. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands come down. Lovely. So I'll just go through this again, our Sun Salutation A, using different ways of moving through. So you can place the feet together if that is accessible for you, coming into our Tadasana. Inhale to lift the arms up, join the palms, gaze towards the thumbs if the leg allows. Exhale to fold forwards, again, option of bending the knees. Releasing tension from the head. Inhale, come into our halfway lift, spine is long. Exhale, place the hands down, step it back to a high plank, shoulders over wrists. Now either coming down onto the knees as we did before, or coming into Chaturanga Dandasana. So this position is a very strengthening position. It can take quite a few years to build up the strength to come into the position with ease. I think it took me around 2 to 3 years. So if you're struggling with it, I feel you. It is a really hard pose to get into. I'm going to show you different ways in which you can build up the strength to come into Chaturanga properly. So I'll just show you the proper alignment to start off with. So as we come into a high plank, making sure the shoulders are above the wrists, we actually move the weight forwards, and that's really the trick here. So on the tippy toes, moving the weight forwards, looking straight ahead, bending the elbows at 90 degrees, making sure the stomach does not touch the floor. Here, lifting up, coming into our upward facing dog, thighs are off the mat, and then exhale, push back, downward facing dog. So in that position, we want our body to be one long line. If you're in that position, you notice that your hips are maybe high and you're sinking low into the shoulders. That can actually be very compromising for the shoulders, the wrists, the elbows. So really good to strengthen the body before we move into that position because we're collapsing through the front body here. So some ways in which we can build up strength. So firstly, by coming down onto the knees and practicing in the way we did before, I like to also do some drills with that. So you can start in child's pose. Inhale to lift, moving the weight forwards. Hands underneath the shoulders. Spine is long. Exhale, tuck the elbows in, chest comes down to the ground. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, come back up, high, not high plank, but knees onto the ground. Exhale, take the chest down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, push back. Okay, so going through a few rounds of that can be a really great way to build strength. Also by using blocks. So I'll just show you the way in which we can use the blocks for Chaturanga Dandasana. So placing 2 blocks on the highest given height, about shoulder distance apart. The hands come behind the blocks. We'll come back into our high plank. Shoulders above the wrists, sucking the navel in towards the spine. Moving the weight forwards, exhale to lower, and we should be getting that 90-degree angle in our elbow here. So elbows above the wrists, looking straight ahead, and then inhale, upward facing dog from there. So using the blocks here can be a really great tool to give your body the sense of what it should be like with that correct alignment. So feel free to use these wherever you are, at home, in your next practice, when we do finally meet again. But a really nice tool to use, so if you haven't thought of using blocks before, then I really encourage you to use them if that's something that you're working towards. So we'll come into our upward facing dog position. So shoulders above the wrists, we're opening up through the chest, gazing towards the front of the room, thighs off the mat. Exhale, down facing dog. Again, staying here for a few long deep breaths. And seeing here whether you're able to externally rotate the shoulders. So giving space between the ears and the shoulder blades. So 3 to 5 deep, long breaths. And then on the next inhale, the right foot steps in between the palms, the left one follows. We come back to our halfway lift. Exhale to fold forwards. Inhale to lift up, standing tall, Urdhva Stasana. Exhale, hands come down. Lovely. So if you're feeling really strong in that Sun Salutation A, I'll just show you one more way in which you can advance this so it becomes a little bit more dynamic with the jump backs. So I'll just quickly demonstrate that for you. So we'll inhale, lift the arms up, join the palms. Exhale to fold forwards. Inhale, halfway lift, spine is long. Exhale, take the hands down, and then jump back to a high plank. And when you're there, you can move the weight forwards, come into your Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Once you spend your 3 to 5 breaths here in downward facing dog, taking a moment to bend the knees, gazing straight ahead of you, trying to keep the hips high as you jump forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, hands come down. So that's our Sun Salutations A. There's lots of different ways you can modify them depending on your level. I hope it was helpful for you. And so we'll go through our Sun Salutations B now. Our Surya Namaskar B. So again, we stand at the top of the mat. You can place the feet apart if you like. So we come into our Utkatasana, our chair pose. So in this position, we bend the knees. The thighs should be away from the belly here. The hips are sinking back. The spine is long. And we can keep the hands apart, gazing towards the ground. So really strengthening pose here. You might already be able to feel some strength building in the thighs here. So we exhale, we'll fold forwards, bending over our knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, place the hands down, step it back to high plank. Lower down through the knees, take the chest down towards the ground. Inhale, come into our cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Now instead of holding here for 3 to 5 breaths, we take the right foot, step it in between the palms. Again, if it takes you a few hops, that's completely fine. Keeping the left heel raised, making sure the knee is above the ankle. We'll lift up, coming into crescent lunge. So in this position, we want to be facing forwards. Our hips are parallel to the short edge of the mat. The knee is above the ankle. We'll lift the arms up, keeping the hands apart, gazing forwards. Exhale, take the hands down to frame the right foot. The right foot steps back to high plank. Lower the knees, take the chest down towards the ground. Inhale, come into our cobra. Exhale, push back, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot comes in between the palms, knee over the ankle, the right heel is raised, lifting up through that standing leg, coming into our crescent lunge. Exhale, take the hands down, step the left foot back, lower through the knees, keep the spine long, take the chest down towards the ground. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, push back, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. And this time we stay here for 3 to 5 breaths. And when you're ready, inhale, the right foot steps in between the palms, the left one follows. This time keeping the knees bent, we'll sweep the fingertips along the mat as we lift the arms up, returning back to our chair pose. And then exhale, straighten the legs, the hands come down. So go through that Sun Salutation B again, just modifying slightly if that felt quite comfortable for you. So you can place the heels together this time. Inhale, sweeping the fingertips along the mat, bending the knees. This time, taking the hands together, gazing towards the thumbs. And then exhale to fold forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down, step it back to high plank. Move through chaturanga if it's in your practice too. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, push back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps in between the palms. The left heel comes down so the heels are in line. The left foot is at around 45 degrees. Again, the knee is above the ankle. We'll lift up, coming into our warrior one. Hands are placed together, gazing towards the thumbs. Exhale, hands frame the foot. Right foot steps back to high plank. Lower through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot in between the palms. The right heel comes down, knee over ankle, ground through that left foot. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, hands down. Step the foot back, move the weight forwards. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. This time we'll stay here for 3 to 5 breaths. And when you're ready, the right foot steps in between the palms, the left one follows, keeping the knees bent. Sweep the fingertips along the mat, lift the arms up, Utkatasana, and then exhale, straighten the legs, hands come down. Lovely. So a way that you can modify your sun salutations depending on the kind of class or home practice that you'd like to do is by incorporating different movements into them to really accentuate the kind of class that you need. So just to give you an example, if you're thinking about really releasing the spine by doing some twists, you're able to use the sun salutations when we're in our warrior one or our crescent lunge position, whichever one is more accessible for you. I'll just go for crescent lunge just to demonstrate. Near the ankle, lifting the arms up. You're able to take the front arm down, the back behind, gazing towards the right side of the room. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, take them down and move through in that way. So another great option if you're wanting to have a heart-opening class, or if that's what you want from your practice, is to include cactus arms, drawing the arms down, the elbows behind the shoulder blades, lifting the arms up, or something that I think is really helpful for climbing is inhale, lift, and rotate the wrists, or maybe pulse the fingers. Yeah. So just some options of making it your own, maybe flowing with some music can feel really nice as well. So feel free to be creative with your sun salutations too and make it according to what you need from your practice. I hope that was really helpful for you. I'm missing you all lots and I can't wait to see you soon. Please feel free to let us know if there's anything that you'd like to see from us as well. Take care, bye.